How well do you understand the natural world around you? Probably not as well as some Native Americans who knew to plant corn when the oak leaves had sprouted to the size of a mouse's ear. The oak leaves had nothing physical about them that controlled the growth of corn, but the timing was right by coincidence. It is through the use of coincidence that we can know much more about the natural world if we pay attention and maybe keep a few notes on how our garden grows. The study of natural cycles comparing weather and climate to plants and animals is called Phenology. The National Phenology Network is always looking for volunteers to add to their database of natural observations. Go to www.usanpn.org. We use phenology to help us predict when to control insect and disease problems. The growth of plants and cold-blooded garden insects is affected by temperature. For example, at 50 degrees, many remain dormant. As the weather warms up past the 50-degree mark, the life cycle processes begin operating. Each day that is over 50 degrees adds a little bit to the growth of the dormant insect and the dormant plant. The warmer it is, the more growth there is. A warm week can move things along rapidly, while a cooler weather can put things back to the average or slow them down. Each day that is 1 degree over the plant or animal dormant temperature accumulates 1 degree day. Degree day calculations can be a bit of a problem for some people, but many arboretums list their degree day accumulations for their locations and for a variety of different dormant temperatures, so you can follow along online or by newsletter. This allows the proper timing for both beneficial and pest organisms. If a plant is to be pollinated by a specific kind of insect, they both need to be synchronized as to when to grow. If a pest needs to get into a plant at a specific time in the growth of the plant, it needs to be synchronized with the plant. If a predator depends on specific animals for food, it needs to be synchronized with the life cycle of its prey. While all of this is going on, there are other plants and animals independently living their lives at the same time in the same area, exposed to the same temperatures. Some of these plants and animals do something visible that coincides with the other plants and animals doing something invisible. For example, dandelions are going to bloom when crabgrass seeds are about to sprout. So if you want to spread crabgrass preventer at the proper time, do it when you see dandelions starting to bloom, not when the store puts it up for sale. There are many combinations of plants and animals, and all you have to do is notice them. Do bluegills bite best when spireas bloom? Some would say they do. How about birds? Since many are insect eaters and insects are plant eaters, there may be many synchronized and many coincidental occurrences of birds and plants. By keeping track each year of just a few plants, you will be able to predict when you should go bird watching to see specific species. For instance, look for the first hummingbirds, orioles, and rose-breasted grosbeaks in your area when crab apples start to bloom. Using plants as indicators helps to control the variable of weather that occurs each year. Some springs are early, some are late, but that only means that the indicator plants shift as well. These indicator plants that are easy for you to identify and easy to find over a widespread area will help you a lot. It's also good to look for more than one indicator species. The sequence of occurrences is much more important than the dates, which will vary dramatically from year to year with degree day accumulations based on the weather. You should keep a garden journal of what you do and when you do it in your landscape or vegetable garden. Whenever you do a task, check to see if there's a flower blooming or a bird species singing or some other noteworthy event that coincides with your gardening task and make a note of it. Next year, check to see if it happens again. And if it does, then you can start predicting when you'll need to do some of those chores. So what's this mean to me? No matter where you live, there are numerous visible coincidental signs of when to do something in the landscape. Donald Orton was a nursery plant inspector for the Illinois Department of Agriculture who kept track of when plants were blooming and when insect or disease pests were at their most vulnerable stage for control treatments. In his book, Coincide, Orton lists many plants that can be used as indicator plants for pests that are on other plants. And here is a copy of the second edition. You really should try to get a hold of one of these. They're hard to get. This one came from the Morton Arboretum bookstore, and that's a really great place to try to find it. It's hard. The first edition is out of print, but if you can find one of those, it's great, and you really should try to get one. It's a really, really excellent book. It has the pests at the beginning, and it describes when they're most vulnerable and what indicator plants would be good to look for. And in the back it has the plants, and it's just an awesome book. And you really, no matter which part of the landscape you live in, which part of the country, this is an excellent book and you really should try to get it. For instance, if you have a honey locust tree, and who doesn't, they grow nationwide and are overplanted everywhere, they can get mimosa webworms. They are best treated when the serviceberry trees and Tartarian honeysuckle shrubs have some ripe fruit, or when catalpa trees or mock orange shrubs are blooming, or when Annabelle hydrangeas are blooming. None of those indicator plants have anything to do with mimosa webworms, but they do help you to know when to treat your honey locusts to make sure that you get rid of them before they become a big problem. There's a scientific foundation for this pairing. Work in Ohio and Michigan has shown that while the date of which phenological events occurred sometimes changed by weeks due to the variable weather, the order of events of which indicators remained consistent year to year. They found that sequences in which the events occur is more significant. Egg hatch of pine needle scale always occurred at full bloom of common lilac. As black locust trees bloomed, so too there was an emergence of adult bronze birch borers. In their work, they found that given the stability of the phenological sequences, even 1 year of observations in your yard of the different coincident events can give useful information for timing management activities from then on. And more observations each year will add over time and expand and confirm your correlations. So it's an excellent way to keep track of your landscape. You do need to take notes. And it is important to note that degree day information and phenological observations for one area may not be exact in another area. Most researchers would suggest that using these observations as a guide is good, and then you need to confirm their accuracy, whether it's a good fit or too early or too late, with your local observations and maybe more appropriate plant to pest activity pairings. So just because it's in the book doesn't mean it's perfect, but you can use this book to start with and then work from there to manage your landscape. You'll find that you'll end up using a lot less insecticides and disease controls, and you'll use them more accurately and get better control of the insects and diseases. So you save the environment and you save money and you save the beneficial insects. And so it really is an excellent way to manage your landscape if you have insect or disease problems. Get a hold of Coincide and you'll be able to really work well in your landscape. And this is Jeff with a Greener View. Thanks for watching.